I haven't bought a bag of chicken feed in 8 months. 50 birds, 8 months, 0 bags. No special system, no expensive setup, just 5 plants growing on my property, and I'm going to show you exactly which ones. But first, I need you to do something. Go look at your last feed receipt. Remember that number. Now multiply that number by 12. Most small flocks, $400 to $500 a year, every year. And it keeps going up. I watched the same 50-pound bag jump 3 times in 2 years. You just absorb it, because what choice do you have? But the price isn't even what got me. I drove to the store once, and they were completely out of stock. No delivery date, and my chickens needed to eat that day. Someone else controlled whether my animals ate. That was the moment I decided to actually fix this. I found 5 plants. 3 you plant once, they produce for decades. 2 reseed themselves so hard they basically spread on their own. None of them exotic, none of them complicated. The only reason most people don't do this is that nobody specifically said, these 5, start here. Grow even 2 or 3 together and your feed bill looks completely different. Subscribe if you want more of this. Okay, plant number 1, Comfrey. Chickens lose their minds for this stuff. I have seen birds sprint, actually sprint when I throw Comfrey into the run. And it's not just that they like it, it's got somewhere between 20 and 30% protein by dry weight, depending on the variety. That's competitive with commercial feed. Here's what actually got me about Comfrey. You cut it, 3-4 weeks later, it's back, full size, ready to cut again. I'm not exaggerating that. The first time I cut my Comfrey plants back, I was honestly a little nervous about it. They looked pretty rough right after, just these sad little stumps. And then I walked out there 3 weeks later and it was like nothing had happened. Same big broad leaves, same size. 1 established plant, 1 season, 5-6 harvests. Maybe more if your conditions are good and you're keeping it watered. So you're not planting Comfrey every year. You plant it once, it comes back harder each spring, and it just keeps going. I've got plants that are 4 years old now, and they're bigger than they were the first year. The root system goes down deep, really deep, and it doesn't give up. 10 to 15 plants, and you've got a continuous supply all season long. That's the number to aim for if you want to actually rely on this as a meaningful part of your flock's diet. Number 2, Mulberry. This one's different from everything else on this list because it's not a plant, it's a tree. And I want you to think about that for a second. You plant this thing once, and when the berries drop, and they drop by the thousands, your chickens clean them up off the ground. No harvesting, no processing. The tree does the work, and the chickens do the cleanup. A healthy mulberry tree produces for 30, 40, 50 years. Think about that. You plant this tree today, and it feeds your chickens, your kids' chickens, maybe even your grandkids' chickens. That's not a feed supplement. That's infrastructure. The leaves are also edible for poultry, so you're getting 2 different feeds off 1 tree, the fruit in season and leaf fodder when you need it. Number 3, sunflowers. Okay, this is the one I personally messed up. First year I grew them. I harvested every single head, dried them, stored them, felt very organized and competent about it. What I didn't realize is that if you leave some heads on the stalk, they drop their seeds right there in the run. Self-seeding, for free, without you doing anything. I was working harder than I needed to. It turns out that's kind of a theme with this stuff. The protein in sunflower seeds runs around 17%. Fat content is high, the good kind, which matters especially in winter when your birds need extra calories to stay warm and keep laying. Plant them thick along the fence line of your run, and they double as windbreaks, shade in summer, and a feed crop. 3 uses, 1 plant. I genuinely love when that happens. The other thing people don't realize, you don't have to grow special varieties. Regular garden sunflowers, whatever's cheap at the seed rack in spring, work fine. The birds don't care about the variety. They care about the seeds. And once you've got them seeding themselves year to year, your only job is thinning them out if they get too crowded. That's it. That's the whole maintenance requirement. Number 4, Amaranth. This one surprises people every time because most folks know Amaranth as a grain, an ancient one, actually, going back to the Aztecs, But they don't think about chickens when they think about it. Here's the thing. The whole plant is usable. The leaves when it's young, the seeds when it matures, and the protein on those seeds hits around 15%. But here's what actually sold me on Amaranth. It reseeds itself aggressively. We're talking you grow one patch, and if you let the seed heads drop, next year you've got 3 patches. Leave those, the year after, you've got a situation. I say that from experience. Once it's established on your property, you kind of just manage how much of it you have rather than worrying about growing it, which is exactly the kind of problem I want. Have you ever grown amaranth before? Drop it in the comments. I'm curious how many people already have this on their property and just don't know it's chicken food. Number 5, Moringa. Okay, this one, if you're in a warm climate, zone 9 or higher, or you're willing to grow it in a big pot and bring it inside over winter, this might be the single most impressive plant on this entire list. It grows 10, sometimes 15 feet in its first year. First year. I said that to someone once and they looked at me like I was making it up. I wasn't. That's just what Moringa does when it's happy. And the leaves? Somewhere around 25% protein by dry weight, which puts it above most commercial feeds on the protein side alone. You can harvest those leaves continuously while the tree is actively growing, just trimming back branches and throwing them into the run. Chickens eat the whole thing. Leaves, stems, the lot. I almost didn't include Moringa because I thought it was too niche, like people in Minnesota aren't going to do a Moringa tree. But then I started seeing people grow it in containers, bring it inside in winter, cut it back hard in fall, let it re-sprout in spring. And even in a pot, even in a shorter season, it produces enough leaf mass to supplement a small flock consistently. So if you're in a cold climate, don't write it off yet. It's worth at least trying in a pot one season and seeing what happens at your place. So here's where I land after a couple of years of actually doing this. I'm not saying you'll never buy a bag of feed again starting tomorrow. That's not realistic, especially if you're starting from scratch and your plants need time to establish. Comfrey takes a full season to really get going. A mulberry tree takes a few years to hit its stride. But here's the thing. You start somewhere, and it compounds. First year, Comfrey covers maybe 15–20% of what your flock needs. Second year, it's more. Add the sunflowers self-seeding, add the amaranth spreading, add the mulberry starting to drop fruit. By year 3, if you've planted all 5 of these in some form, you're looking at a completely different situation than you were in. I'm not buying $500 of feed a year anymore. I'm buying maybe $150 in the lean months of winter when the plants are down, maybe less. And every year, that number keeps going the right direction. That's not magic. That's just what happens when you stop depending on buying something and start growing it instead. And past that, past the money, the thing that actually got me was the feeling of not being stuck. Feed store closed? Fine. Price jumped overnight? Don't care. Supply chain problem? Not my problem anymore. There's something genuinely different about how you feel when you walk out to your garden in the morning and know that the food is already there. You cut comfrey before breakfast, you let the chickens into the mulberry area, you toss some amaranth leaves into the run. None of it costs anything. None of it required a drive anywhere. You're paying for the privilege of needing someone else to keep your animals alive when you're buying feed every month. That's what that bag actually represents. And once you see it that way, it's hard to unsee. The goal isn't just to cut your feed bill a little. The goal is to not need the feed store to stay in business to keep your animals healthy. These 5 plants are the most direct path I've found to that feeling. Plant comfrey first, get that going this season, then work backward from there. If you want to go deeper on any of these, especially comfrey, because there's a lot more to it than what I covered here, I've got another video that gets into exactly how to set up a comfrey patch from root cuttings, how to space it, and when to start harvesting. I'll link it up. Go watch that next.